It all comes down to this, Falcons fans. Week 18, after a very disappointing 2025 season, the Atlanta Falcons have the opportunity to not only say screw you to their most hated rival, the New Orleans Saints, but also to the rest of the NFC South with one team in particular. Now, like I told you, it might have been a disappointing season, but let's start the year 2026 and the end of this football season on a high note. If you want to beat the absolute you-know-what out of the Aints, do me a favor, like today's video. Let's do ourselves a favor. Let's get 500 loyal Falcons fans to hit that thumbs up icon and set the victory vibes for this Sunday. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video. Welcome into Falcons Today, Falcons fans by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Now, the Falcons do have an opportunity to play spoiler for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 18. At the time of this recording, it is Saturday. The Panthers do play the Bucs here in about 3 hours. And if the Panthers win, they're automatically winning the division. So we know that to be fact. However, if Tampa Bay loses, that does not necessarily mean that they will control the division, because if the Falcons beat the Saints, even if Carolina loses to the Buccaneers, they will clinch the division. So the Falcons can not only beat their most hated rival, but they can also spoil the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. I've thought Trevor Sakima, Tampa Bay Trey, as he's known on X, came out with this absolutely hysterical tweet. So he's a Buccaneers fan. But the Bucs winning on Saturday to tie the Panthers at under 500, but losing the division title to Carolina due to the Falcons also going 8-9 if they beat the Saints, despite what he claims as the Saints being the best team already in the NFC South, which I don't agree with, is truly an NFC South experience. And I thought that was hilarious because this is the most true thing ever. The Falcons, when it comes to playing games that don't matter, are the 96 Bulls. They're GOATs. They're just incredible. These games that absolutely mean nothing, the Falcons look like one of the best teams in the NFL. You remember the Rams game, first half, 21-0? That was the cleanest and most productive and dominant half of football I have seen all year from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, granted, they kind of mucked it up at the very end there, and the Rams ended up tying to only for the Falcons to go down and kick a game-leading field goal. But I digress. It was one of the most dominant halves of football I've ever seen the Atlanta Falcons play, and maybe they're just a Monday night team. Just to go back in time a little bit, the Falcons are 9-1 in their last 10 games on Monday Night Football. If that just doesn't rustle your jimmies a little bit, I don't know what does, because that's an incredible stat. They're also amazing in their throwback jerseys. I think they're 16-3 in their last 19 in the throwback jerseys, which petition to just make those our full-time unis. They obviously bring good luck. Only that to say this, just for the love of God, get this team some good coaching. Please get this team some good coaching. I know that there's been conflicting reports from Albert Breer and ESPN and other Falcons media members that are all saying the same thing. We really don't know what's going to happen to the coaching staff. I do believe at this point Raheem is going to stay. I do believe that there is going to be some minor tweaks. I think Zach is gone, and I think Marquise Williams is gone. But the current state of the 2025 Falcons can kind of be surmised in this one specific quote that I found on AtlantaFalcons.com, with Xavier Watts being the best Falcons rookie defensive back since Deion Sanders, Bijan Robinson having the best season of any Falcons running back ever. James Pearce Jr. is the defensive rookie of the year contender. In my opinion, he should win it. And the team is second in the NFL in sacks, and they're out of the playoffs by Thanksgiving. Just let that marinate for 1 second. I'll give you the time to kind of sit with that uncomfortability. This team has so much damn talent, and the only thing they needed to do was beat a team like the Dolphins or the Jets, and they'd be in the playoffs. Now, granted, would they be a great playoff team? Probably not, considering how bad the coaching is, Raheem and Zach and Marquise. The Falcons' special teams is the worst unit in the NFL, and it's not just the worst special teams unit. If you had to rank every unit in the NFL, so three teams per unit, or 3 units per team, 32 teams, 96 units, I would say the Falcons' special teams is probably 95 or 96. It's that bad. But I still think that this team is just chock full of unreal talent. And once they get a true leader, once they get a competent situation going on in the front office, if that ever happens, this team will be right back at the very top of the division. I firmly believe that, especially with Bijan Robinson at the helm. So let me ask you this question before I continue on with the actual Week 18 matchup. Are the Falcons the best in the NFL in meaningless games? Yes or no? Yeah. They are. Like I told you, they're the 96 Bulls of meaningless games. They're incredible. So, coming up, I'm going to tell you how the Falcons can spoil the Saints' hot streak. We already heard about how they can spoil the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season, but can you make sure that you put an emphasis, your stamp, on Tyler Shuck's recent 4-game hot streak? I think the answer is obviously yes. Before I do that, I got to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. We have rung in the new year, Falcons fans. I'm so excited about 2026. And this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. And whether you're starting some new routine this year or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it's always good to be right. And with high-pressure playoff matchups coming up every single weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops on Prize Picks, and it lets you take control. Find your community on Prize Picks with a brand new social feeds feature where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. They also have a new feature where you can get your early payout. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Takes 30 seconds to make a lineup. You pick your player more or less on their stat projections, and you watch your money multiply. So do yourself and Uncle Moose a favor. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. So the Saints are on a heater in their last 4-0 in their last 4 games, and they are playing some very good football right now. I take no pleasure in saying that because I absolutely despise the Saints. But you have to give credit where credit is due. The last 4 games, they've looked like a completely different team than when Spencer Rattler was at the helm. However, TV timeout, they haven't played anybody worth a damn. The best win that they have is no doubt against the Panthers, but they're playing the Buccaneers, and they beat the Buccaneers, who are playing like one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. They beat the damn Jets and the Tennessee Titans. So these last 4 teams that they've played, it's not the stiffest of competition. So take that with a little bit of grain of salt there if you are a Falcons or a Saints fan. But I will give Tyler Shuck a lot of credit here. He is the main reason for the last 4 games. He has been playing really, really good football. I had to go back and isolate all of the statistics for you based off of his last 4 games, and I basically found this guy's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the last 4 games. 71% completion percentage, 264 yards a game, 4 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. So he's averaging a, 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is excellent. 264 passing yards a game, and he's completing 71% of his passes. Those are really, really good numbers. This game is going to have a lot of intensity to it. The Saints want to show everybody, including their fans and the rest of the NFL world, that they are not nearly as bad as people think. And the Atlanta Falcons are basically saying, we've got all the talent to be the best team in this division. I do think talent-wise, this team probably is the most talented outside of the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers were just riddled with injuries. But I would go kind of toe for toe with the Bucs in terms of talent on paper. However, the Saints right now clearly are showing that with Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck, they have got their head coach, and it seemingly have their quarterback for the future. So how can you end the Saints' hot streak? How do you put belt to ass, as the kids say, in NFL Week 18? Step 1, you got to force Shuck over the middle. One thing that I've noticed about Tyler Shuck from the limited time that I've seen his snaps and the way that he plays, he loves the quick game and he loves the out routes. He loves throwing out into the flat. He loves that sideline route. He's really good on a seam shot up the sideline. You got to force him to play those digs over the middle. You got to force him to throw the 20-yard dig. I would be playing kind of like a pinch zone on the outside. So maybe you play a zone on one side with Kobe, and maybe you play like a man press coverage with A.J. Terrell on the opposite side. So you take away sort of that outside throwing game that they love to run. Step 2, dominate the time of possession. This comes obviously with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson at the helm. Clearly an offensive key here. You definitely don't want to score too quickly or have any 3-and-outs, because you can obviously see that the Saints play well with momentum. They play well with tempo, and they play well with time on their side. If you force them to play from behind, I don't think they're talented enough to come back. Step 3, keeping up with that tempo talk, prepare for the no-huddle offense. Kellen Moore runs the fastest-paced offense in the NFL. And this is usually indicative if you don't have a super talented offense, if you don't have a lot of, talent at wide receiver, or you're kind of struggling on the defensive or the offensive side in terms of protection. Running a tempo offense can be a lot of smoke and mirrors against opposing defenses because it keeps them on their heels constantly. So if you can run a high tempo and fast-paced offense, you can make up for a lot of inefficiencies that you have on the offensive side of the ball. So be prepared for that no-huddle offense. And then finally, step 4, more Bijan. Please and thank you. Like you saw that quote earlier, Bijan is having the most successful season of any Falcons running back ever. Scrimmage yards, he is the best in the NFL. Talent-wise, he's the best in the NFL. And yes, that includes Christian McCaffrey. If you just need to get the ball to Bijan 30 times, so be it. Because I don't want to lose to the Saints. I know you don't either. Even if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, if we lose, it's just one step closer to Raheem Morris getting fired. I never, ever want to lose to the Saints because that fan base enrages me. So, before we take on off out of here, if you want the Falcons to play spoilers, not only to the Saints' hot streak, but to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, type ATL down below. It also shows me that you made it to the very end of the video. So if you are watching Falcons Today episodes in their entirety, that's a good way to let me know that you're a real one. All right, Falcons fans, get ready. It's our last game of the season, a very disappointing season, and then Black Monday on Monday. We could see Marquise Williams, Zach Robinson, and potentially Raheem Morris lose their jobs. Everything will be kind of revealed in time. Until next time, Falcons fans, rise up and be cool.